What's the worst movie you've ever watched? I'm reading the comments section and I'm happy to report I've never heard of 95% of these movies. I thought the Star Wars Holiday Special was going to be one of those bad movies you could watch and make fun of. Nope. It was so boring and weird that I couldn't even sit through the whole thing. I heard Carrie Fisher would put it on when she wanted people to leave her house. This is one of the many reasons I love her. You just totally ruined Life Day for me. 40 minutes of non-subtitled Wookiee warbling. It was so bad, even George Lucas was embarrassed and ashamed by it. The whole thing is just weird and just doesn't fit the universe. Objectively speaking, there's also long boring segments that doesn't make sense as to why they were even included. Cocaine is why. Seriously. It is tradition in my family to watch this every year. Usually it's the RiffTrax version, but occasionally we suffer through the unriffed original, just like when my dad did when he watched it on TV with his whole family in 1978. Have you ever seen it? It's really that bad. It isn't how much people hated it, it was how much George Lucas hated it. That's why it isn't available. The offer to make the special came in from some other production company, known for variety shows and specials, and the network. Once George agreed to it, he had zero control over the final product, which he hated with a fiery hot passion. After that, he never licensed Star Wars IP without a final say on the product. You know it's serious when even George Lucas admits that a cash grab was a mistake. Highlander 2, The Quickening. It was so incredibly bad that it almost reached across the time gap to affect the first one. Yeah, Highlander 2 was so awful that Highlander 3 entirely weakened it. I am told that when 2 was being filmed, the storyline made a lot more sense and a lot of the worst aspects were added in reshoots insisted upon by the studio. Yes, an entire chunk of a big fight scene was shunted back earlier in the film, making a serious WTF? How did he get there? Moment. I was going to say Aragon, but yes. Yes. This was worse. Dragon Ball Evolution. I paid $1 to rent it from a Redbox and still felt like I got ripped off. Saw it for free. Want my time back. As a fan of MS DEC, I've seen quite a few bad movies. The Puma Man was probably the worst. But there was another one where Santa Claus fights Satan. That was really bad too. I can't remember the name of it though. Apparently it's just called Santa Claus, though it's sometimes known as Santa Claus vs. the Devil. Cats was the only film I ever considered walking out of. It was like mental self-harm. You could watch the trailer and tell it was going to be bad. Freakish cats. Even the furries hated it, grimacing face. Who was that movie for anyway? It showcased the creepiest possible way to design their characters. There was basically no plot to follow, and it was nothing like the Broadway play that it was based off of. I have not seen a single positive opinion about it, and if I am morbidly curious, if anyone liked the most recent iteration, I would honestly be interested to hear that take on the movie. It makes me sad to think that Cats was the last movie a lot of people saw in theaters before they died. I watched it on acid and it was one of my favorite movie viewing experiences, so goddamn insane. I've watched a granite countertop for an hour on acid. Is it enough enjoyable on a car crash level? I asked my friend after she saw it, was it at least funny because it was so bad? She gave me a very strong no. Manos, The Hands of Fate. Even with the buffer of the MS DEC crew, it was execrable. Would not recommend, even on a dare. The story, in as much as there was one, was bad enough. It was also badly lit, shot, the sound was miserable. Literally nothing even faintly redeeming about it. And a lot of the people who worked on it died. Apparently it was made on a bet, and it shows. I don't think that Manos was the worst MS DEC movie. Maybe it had the worst production values, what with the missing credit sequence, bad dubbing, and camera that could only hold 20 seconds of film. but if you remade the movie with proper equipment and actors and crew, you'd have a perfectly serviceable B-grade horror sex romp. No, the worst MS Tech movie I think was Monster A Go-Go. 2 reasons. First, while we've seen a lot of bad rubber suit monsters in these movies, all they could come up with was a slightly taller than average man with some oatmeal spilled on his head. Second, they obviously ran out of money to make the movie, and couldn't even get an ending film, so they just copped out and told you an ending, not even a good one. Say what you want about Monos, at least the whole movie got in the can. Worst in the so bad it's good sense is Birdemic 2, Resurrection. The least enjoyable was The Amazing Bulk. Birdemic 2, Resurrection. I still cheered when hippie nature mountain man came back. I saw The Last Airbender on a plane and people still walked out. I do not have high hopes for the Netflix live-action series. They got the original cartoon showrunners to work on it, but they later left due to creative differences. That's not a good sign. I'm more hyped for Avatar Studios if anything. I hear they're aging up Katara. I smell Zutara and I don't think I like it. Did everyone ignore the fact that if you walked out on the movie while on a plane, you still have to think about the movie for 3 minutes before your death? Not if you aim for the turbine. The Crows Have Eyes 3. How dare you speak ill of the Crowaning? Moira Rose is as tour de force as Dr. Clara Mandrake. I read this in Moira's voice. People only watched it because of the incredible red carpet event. Which project? It was an early 2000s collection of 5-minute parodies of Blair Witch Project. It had phony horror-themed commercials and infomercials mixed in, and they were just awful. It was stuff like Blair Witch, in the ghetto. Or in a movie theater. Or stuff like that. Abraham Lincoln vs. Zombies. Picked it up from Blockbuster thinking it was Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. The acting and effects were god-awful, couldn't make it through the full movie. Turns out it had a $150K budget compared to the $69 million budget for Vampire Hunter. Never did end up seeing the latter, it probably wasn't much better either laughing out loud. Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter was actually a good time. The new Artemis Fowl is honestly one of the worst movies I've ever seen and I've never even read the books. I read the books a ton growing up. When I saw it with a friend I half cried, half laughed for pretty much the entire length of it. I still can't even begin to comprehend how anyone could have thought it was acceptable to release it. Bye bye man. Don't think IT, don't say IT. The pee-pee poo-poo man. The Happening. Nothing happened. They outran the wind. Mark Wahlberg played a science teacher. He talked to a potted plant that was clearly made of plastic. The Emoji Movie. I saw it in theaters but never again. Were you surprised that it was bad? Considering it was 2017 and from what I heard about it, no. The Emoji Movie gave me one of my most memorable visuals. Walking out of the theater, a kid bent over and threw up on the ground and kept on walking. I feel you little guy. That's not a movie, that's an advertisement. I saw in the theater. Yup, paid money and everything. Web link. Artemis Fowl. Watched that for free on my friend's D+, and wanted my money back. Let's explore this amazing world by setting 90% of the movie in a siege in our mundane world. Total waste. Let's take this story about a criminal genius who finds redemption and refuses to make him a criminal. He's just a genius. What? A character arc? What's that? Netflix makes this question impossible to answer. Try Amazon Prime. There are some terrible movies there, but some are so bad they're funny, like Velocipastor and Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter. His sidekick is a Mexican wrestler. Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter has one of the best taglines ever: "The power of Christ impales you." Laughing out loud. That is great. Velocipastor is a Velocimasterpiece. Bolero. With Bo Derek. Even the nudity was boring. Dude, if IMDb is correct, several nude scenes in this film starred a 14 or 15-year-old girl, depending when the scenes were shot. How the F did this ever get made? Yeah, that makes sense. Just wikied him. In 1973, Derek Evans and 16-year-old high school dropout Mary Kathleen Collins, who would later be known as Bo Derek, traveled to the Greek island of Mykonos to make the film in Once Upon a Time. During filming, Derek and Collins began an affair. Evans returned to the United States and filed for divorce in 1974, but Derek and Collins stayed in Europe until she turned 18 in November of that year, in order that he would avoid statutory rape charges. Yikes. Tall girl. But you don't understand, men's size 13 Nikes. She is 6 feet 1 inch as stated by her in the movie. Sure, above average for women, but there have got to be taller people in a high school. There are. I know a girl who's taller than that and she's decently popular, laughing my butt off. Signed, a high schooler. Food fight. It makes cats look like Casablanca. I shiver just thinking about it. Web link. The grotesque ugliness of the animation alone would be a deal breaker even if the film weren't also glaringly inappropriate in its sexuality, nightmare-inducing in its animation, and filled with Nazi overtones and iconography even more egregiously unfit for children than the script's wall-to-wall gauntlet of crude double entendres and weird intimations of interspecies sex. I got to admit, now I'm kind of curious. Transformers: Age of Extinction. I'm normally fine with plot holes and stuff, but that movie kept smacking you in the face with them, not to mention the plot. That's the only film I've ever fallen asleep in. I would have walked out, but it was a friend's birthday, and he wanted to see the train wreck until the end. Oh, was bad, but the last night was worse. I've never seen a movie with so much but so little going on. Like the Transformers were useless in this movie. Also, why the hell was Hot Rod French? Battlefield Earth. That movie didn't need to be made and the way the characters spoke was ridiculous. I'm telling you, man, animals don't fly. John Travolta, tilted 7 degrees to the left and shot through a piss-tinted filter. The Dark Tower. Been waiting decades for it and I can't get more than 30 minutes in. Dragon Ball Evolution. The crapest made thing ever. Independence Day 2. I was actively rooting for the main cast to die, so that it would just end. My big disappointment: there was so much lost potential, wasted with drivel. Conceptually, it sounds great. Take 20 years of technological advancements from having alien tech, introduce a hidden resistance that has been trying to fight the aliens from the first and reached out to us to find out how we resisted. But then the aliens from the first find out and send bigger force to completely subjugate us / destroy the planet and any hope of further resistance. That honestly doesn't sound as bad as the movie ended up being. Sierra Bergs is a loser. Main character was a horrible person who got a pass just because she was so insecure, nerdy, self-conscious and not like other girls. She sexually assaults the male lead by kissing him without consent when he thinks she is another girl. Barb turned into an effing psychopath. Ballistic, ECKS vs. Sever. By God, that was trash. The Happening was one of the worst acted movies I've watched. That movie is hot garbage. That movie looked so intriguing from the trailer. What a joke that was. Stay ahead of the wind. I got very irritated during that ridiculous scene. Mark Wahlberg constantly looks like he smells a fart but is confused because there's no one else around. Smell the fart acting? What? No. Top 2 worst for me. Knew I had wasted precious moments of my life when I realized I was watching Mark Wahlberg talk to a plastic ficus and it was supposed to be suspenseful. This is such a difficult question to answer. But, some Adam Sandler movies are bad, like really upsetting. Jack and Jill is probably the worst piece of junk of all the Happy Madison productions. Truly horrendous. One summer my buddy and I watched every movie that came out. Every movie. Master of Disguise was the worst piece of garbage I have ever seen. Every joke was in the trailer. Mark that. A 90-minute comedy managed to get every joke into a 2-minute trailer. I'm still a little angry about it. That was actually one of my brothers and my favorite movies when we were younger, laughing my butt off. But when I was 8 years old, am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club? Had me somehow convulsing with laughter. That scene was filmed on September 11th. The people in the towers held a moment of silence because they heard about this movie being made. Bruh, I don't think you're turtle Y enough for the Turtle Club. Left Behind, 2014. It's a remake, but I didn't watch the original. Basically, God saves the good ones and leaves behind homosexuals, atheists and people who believe in him but don't go to church every Sunday. The end. Nicolas Cage usually makes a moronic movie more or less enjoyable, but not even him could save this atrocity. Percy Jackson the series was my favorite as a kid, and I was so pumped to see it, and the disappointment was just incredible. Even the author of the series calls it bad. Never even bothered to see the sequel it spawned. Oh hi Mark. Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald was the only movie I slept through. Most boring effing garbage ever. What makes it worse is how good Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was. Why is Nagini a woman? Why the F is McGonagall there? She shouldn't even be alive yet. I'm fully expecting them to walk past Granger Dentistry in the next movie. Why is Credence a Dumbledore? WTF was that? That movie had so many plots and didn't know what to do with any of them. I enjoyed the first movie. The only thing I didn't like was the Grindelwald reveal at the end. We didn't know what Grindelwald looked like at all. You have Colin Farrell, Graves, get revealed to secretly be Johnny Depp in disguise. We've never seen a picture of Grindelwald. The only way the audience knew it was him was because another character had to say, "Well, hello Grindelwald." It would have been better to have Graves be a follower of Grindelwald. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.